But before we actually start there, let's talk about why you might be wondering why we wouldn't just use a web view to do this. Okay. There are a few reasons. First is, if you're using WebView, WebXR is actually not supported in both Android and Apple web views right now. On Apple, it's not even supported in the browser, right? And second, WebXR is missing a few important features. The list you can see here. Some of these are in experimental and draft state. So eventually, some of these will make it into the WebXR spec, right? But there are things that probably will never make it into the spec. So for example, raw feature points probably will never make it into the spec. Right? But with Babylon native, because we're not bound by a browser, we can do anything, right? So we have direct access to the underlying platform APIs. And thus, we don't have to wait for these features to be defined or implemented in a browser before we can use it. Okay. So here's a list of things that we do currently support. And this list is growing as we experiment and implement things. So for example, you see in this sort of a video playing, this is a Power Apps thing using Babylon native, Babylon React Native specifically. You see plane detection, you see hit testing with the measurements. And the very short video is of non-planar geometry on iOS, and it's also experimental on HoloLens. We also support anchors, raw feature points, image tracking, which I'll show in a second, eye tracking, which is experimental on HoloLens, as well as frame capture with the camera feed. There is a camera feed experimental draft spec for WebXR, but it's not quite ready yet. But we can do this now. All right, so let's try and do this in a real demo. Let's see, I'm gonna switch over. Okay, so here, this is a sort of a bare bones Babylon React Native app right now. All I have is a box being rendered, and you can see Ranaan is sort of moving the cube around. And so what I'm gonna show is that I'm gonna copy the same code that you saw in the playground. Okay, so in this presentation, Ron and I have talked about sort of the Babylon platform, Babylon.js, Babylon native, and Babylon React Native, as well as how XR plays into each one of these. Our projects are all open source. You can find them all on GitHub, and it's free for anyone to use. If you want to find out more, please click on these links that you see here. We also have a community forum where the core team pretty quickly answers questions. As well as documentation on many of the topics we presented today. And as well as the 2 Twitter handles you can use to contact us directly.